So in this video, I want to talk about an anime called The Elf Girl's Cat is Secretly an S-Ranked Monster. Now, when I was looking at this, it was kind of funny because originally I hadn't thought about the title at all, and then I saw someone comparing this to High School DxD, and as much as I think this might trigger some people, I actually think this kind of reminds me a little bit of High School DxD in the sense of the playful manner that the anime goes about, that it doesn't try to take itself too serious, that it's just fun, it's colorful, very fan servicey heavy, and of course the tags are action, adventure, comedy, ecchi, fantasy, and reincarnation. Now, originally I thought this was an isekai, but it isn't apparently an isekai. It's just a reincarnation based on the first episode of it. And I definitely think this is an anime that if you are into things like High School DxD, Trinity 7, even Data Live, things that are very fan servicey heavy but don't take themselves too serious, unless Data Live and you get into the later parts of the season where it starts to get a little bit dark, but more like heartedness of the nature of it, with some, a little bit of darker tone in there. I think this is definitely an anime for you. Very much got some adult kind of stuff in there. Obvious. A lot of fan service. So I feel like this is one of those shows that you're either going to absolutely love or you're absolutely going to hate. And I say that last part because in this day and age, there are definitely some people out there that are like Puritans. Sort of those that kind of push all these kind of over-the-top values of fan service is evil, rah. And it's like, okay, we'll go watch something else. But this is one of those that if you don't like fan service, oh boy, you ain't going to like this. So the basic premise as it goes, a cat used to be a knight, is killed, and is reincarnated and becomes a fearsome S-ranked monster behemoth. And everyone just thinks that they're originally just a cat until the elf gets into a duel because some creepy guy is trying to basically make her a wife and tries to kind of get his little feely feels, and the cat defends and is like, you hurt me, so I'm gonna get you put down because you hurt me. And then she agrees to a duel. She's about to lose it until the cat decides, you know what, I have to actually use my powers, and ends up actually defending her. And that's when people go from, oh, you're an elemental cat kind of thing, and it's like, okay, so they completely misunderstand what this creature is, because a behemoth is a little bit more of a big, vicious, dangerous monster, while in this case everyone perceives it as this lovable cat that just kind of rests itself on her lovely mountainal lobs. And so I feel like that's where the story is going to go. It is based on a manga as well. Apparently there is a couple of volumes of the light novel. Again, I kind of was confused when I looked it up because I was like, oh, there's 2 volumes of the light novel and there's heaps of volumes of the manga. I'm like, huh? And then I looked into it and I was like, oh, it's actually based on a manga. So if you do want the source material, the manga is the thing for you. As far as the rest of the story goes, there's some interesting stuff to do with eating monsters as well. So I definitely think this is something that the cat will go down. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Spider and Slime. Very much kind of made me feel a little bit like Spider. Just kind of, it's able to adapt different skills. I mean, people will say Slime does the exact same thing. They kind of, it's a kind of a system that gets used in animes like this, where a creature gets reincarnated and they consume stuff and they get little powers, and it has its own little void thing. The question I asked myself is, and this was something that I kind of wondered, but I don't really want to find out, was if there's going to be the potential that as it gains new skills and evolves and becomes stronger, will it potentially be able to take on a more human form, or potentially communicate. I potentially do think the communication component will definitely be there, because they already kind of twig at the end of the first episode. They're like, oh, well, clearly it can understand English, and it's basic on that level. It makes me wonder, as time goes on, will it adapt skills that will allow it, say, telepathy? Because that's something that gets used in a lot of these types of stories, where a reincarnated creature, and it adapts a bunch of skills and then it gets telepathy. Think of like reincarnated as a sword. That's one good example. Spider and Slime, those just end up, well, especially Slime, Rimuru ends up kind of just learning to talk. I do think there might be the telepathy thing for just her and the cat, and then later on it might develop the ability to communicate more verbally. The other potential of where it could go as far as transformation, I don't think that's something that would happen straight away, because I feel like they will run the gimmick of it being a lovable cat that no one understands till later on, and then throw the idea of, oh, now it has a human form, and that's where the fan service could really blow it. Because, I mean, right now, you think of the idea of the cat can go into the different places, like the bath and everything, and be very intimate and close, and then as time goes on, maybe it actually does get a human form, and then the elf is kind of like, oh, well, you can't actually come into the bath with me because you're a male human kind of thing. I think that's something that will happen near the end of the lifespan of the manga, to kind of add a bit more romance there if they actually want to push that potential romance at some point, especially if it does become a knight again in this situation. The other thing, though, too, is if it isn't an isekai and it is just a reincarnation, that means it has some past to this world. So, unless there's something else that gets delved into it later that makes it an isekai, from my understanding, it is just a reincarnation in this world. So, to me, there's that potential story hook of it having other ties to, oh, it used to be a hero, it's reincarnated, there might be some past stuff that it might end up finding out about, like, oh, there's another hero group, or the individual that killed him, maybe he might get revenge, etc., etc. There's the potential of where that story can go down. So there's a lot of interesting hooks of a more realistic, like, I wouldn't say realistic, but a more serious undertone story, while also keeping that fresh, silly, comedic, ecchi fantasy kind of in there. That's why I kind of think of High School DxD, because High School DxD, as much as it has a lot of fan service, a lot of ecchi moments, a lot of romance shenanigans going on, there is still an underlining story and a path that it's taking to allow it to keep moving forward, other than just being a slice of life sort of fan servicey thing and having no real direction, because things like that don't generally last long if there's no direction of the story. The fan service is kind of like, it's like the dessert, and the main meal is the main story itself, but the dessert is what you really come for that extra little piece de resistor at the sort of the as it goes along. So highly recommend it for those that want something like this. But again, as I stated, if you are off-putted by fan service, then I would steer very clear, especially in this day and age. I've seen some things like My Dress Up Darling, and they show a little bit of fan service and instantly people freak out. It's like, this takes that to a whole new extreme, and especially with the way that she dresses is very much one of those like MMO style games or fantasy games where the character can be as skimpy as possible, and dual wielding, the acceleration. And like I said, the bathroom as well, I expect there's going to be a lot of situations where she's going to be very much laid bare for the eyes of the cat to see, and they get to enjoy all those moments to feast its eyes upon. And the fact that it gets to lay on her chest while she goes around and does stuff, it's kind of funny because when you watch the episode, the cat looks so small on her chest. And I'm like, to be honest, I feel like the proportions in it are a little bit broken. But it's either they're just being lazy with the animations, or they're just like, yeah, let's make the proportions really weird. Because, like, yes, the cat is small, and yes, her chest is big, but the proportions feel way out of whack sometimes, where it goes from, like, the cat kind of fits on it snugly, and then it kind of just goes from, like, oh, yeah, it's, like, super tiny and can fall through the cracks. I'm like, I don't know, some of those moments where you see the animation and the art style, and you're like, okay, this feels a little bit weird, but it's still just funny to kind of look at. I don't take it serious because, again, it's just a fun story. So love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think of this series? Have you read the manga? What are your thoughts about it? Don't spoil anything, please, for the love of God. I just want to enjoy this for what it is. And I would say, do you feel like this is kind of like a reincarnation version of High School DxD, where it is? It's got its baseline story, and it's got this fun, outlandish, fan servicey shenanigans going on. I know some people will get upset about that, but I just think it's a nice comparison for those that are like looking for something like that to go towards, because it's always good to be like, hey, if you like this, you might like this, and it gives people a sense of direction. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.